November 2022. We got the launch of ChatGPT and retail loses its mind about all the possibilities. Everyone had an opinion on how things would change, but nobody really knew what to do with them. 3 years later, we have some answers and even more questions. And some of the things we predicted happened, and a lot of the things didn't. And what's actually coming next is a conversation most of the industry isn't having yet. Today, we are in New York, and I'm sitting down with Brandon Rael. He's a commerce and agentic transformation leader to talk about how Gen AI has already changed retail, how consumers are shifting their behavior right now, and where agentic commerce takes us from here. On transformation topics, we don't always agree, and that's exactly the point. Here's Paula Macadi, and this is episode 119 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. Brandon, welcome to our studio in New York. Welcome to OFFBounds.
Pleasure to be here, Paula. I'm really honored to be part of the podcast.
Yeah, this is the second episode you're participating. First time in the studio, so welcome.
Way different experience coming to the Big Apple and under the lights. And
and it's actually a very good time to be in New York.
Yes.
How about Knicks this week, huh?
Yeah, so I heard Knicks fans have been praying for this moment for decades. So everyone's super excited about the team and what they represent, and I couldn't be happier that it made this far. I mean, now we need to win the championship. So
I know. I think I am as excited as everybody else.
Good,
good.
good.
I haven't been an NBA fan, but I feel the energy.
Yes, exactly.
Great time to be in New York.
And we overlap in the World Cup in a few weeks, so it'll be interesting times.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yes.
That's going to be my main one topic in the next few days. So.
Great.
Another thing that is very interesting to be in New York is that don't you feel there's this peer pressure of being optimizing and developing and building with AI?
Yes. Constantly, yes.
Every bar I go, every restaurant is always like, what are you building? What are you doing? How many agents do you have? And etc. And I think that's a very New York energy too.
It is. Like, New York is always the edge of innovation, of fashion, of the business world. And there's several big cities in the world like that. But having been raised in New York, I've been around the energy for so long. It attracted me to live here for over 10 years and work here and be part of the retail industry. I couldn't be, the energy is so infectious, and you feel it now. You live here and you work here, so now you're part of the ecosystem.
Yeah, so there's no other topic to talk about but AI.
Of course.
Right? But let's go back to how we got here, right?
Yes.
Like, I remember we have this group chat on WhatsApp. I mean, I remember the first time that ChatGPT came live and we were wondering everything that we could do. How was back then? What were we thinking about in retail when Gen AI came up to life?
Yeah, part of me is just like futurist and optimist, and that's like half my personality. The other half is like grounded in retail and commerce, having been an operator. So I know what the fundamentals and how hard it is to run a retail and commerce business and on the infrastructure needed to get it done. So there's like a counterbalance of all this innovation, excitement around AI, Gen AI, and what ChatGPT, OpenAI can do back in 2022, and we were all super excited about it. And then the fundamentals matter so much, and it's hard to discount the importance of getting your data right and you're getting your foundations right, and your whole operating model has to change to even start to think about it. So it's definitely a balancing act with me. I know it's for many other people too, but it definitely was a big conversation on WhatsApp. So,
yeah, and I remember, like, I don't know, there was this. Well, this is a big change. What can we do with it? And then we were wondering what we could do, I don't know, with supply chain or marketing. I think like the most used business cases were on chatbots, right?
Yes.
But I think like we were not still talking about the infrastructure of that.
No, we weren't. I think that was like everything seemed to be front facing and the customer experience and optimizing the customer journey, and that was super exciting. And I think people had a lot of mixed experiences with chatbots, and unless they were really tied to a real business purpose with business outcomes tied to it, chatbots, I tended to close that chatbot and do my discovery myself back in 2022. And I think things have dramatically changed since then. But it was an interesting times for sure. Yeah.
And I think back then, like I remember like beginning of 2023, we were still trying to imagine what we could do with it. And I think chatbots were the most viable and I think easy way to start operating with Gen AI.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, and we have evolved so much from then, right?
We have. I mean, there's so many use cases, and my mind was working overdrive back in 2023, 24 about what we could possibly do with the Gen AI. But back then, yeah, for sure, the chatbots were the front-facing experience, the customer journey, optimizing the customer experience on websites. And we know there's been mixed experiences with chatbots, and I tend to close them out back then because they really had no purpose or value. And but today, it certainly is the experience of more conversation. We can get into that later, but it's definitely been an evolution.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a bit similar to the beginning of the digital era?
Yes, because there's a lot of storming and forming and chaos, and people are scrambling to make the right investments and capabilities and technology, and then these rigid organizational structures not built for back when the digital era took off in the 2010s and the mobile commerce revolution took over. People are scrambling. That's why the direct-to-consumer brands did so well, because their operating models were built adaptive and they were flexible and they were aggressive. They resonated back then, and a lot of those learnings were into those legacy retailers, and they soon changed their operating models. But now we have a similar experience with Gen AI, Agentic AI, where all the companies, legacy retailers or commerce brands have to adapt their operating models on the fly while maintaining the operations, while maintaining their sales goals and revenue and EBITDA goals. And
yeah, they're already busy doing the work they already have to do, and then they still have to innovate.
Exactly. And the innovation imperative is real because that's what shareholders and customers expect. But you have to be realistic. What are your goals? What are your objectives? And what are the business outcomes to drive a better customer experience instead of just saying blankly we're going to invest in AI, which we've seen too often.
And it sounds sometimes even a little bit like non-strategic at all. Like
No.
Just buy AI, let's figure it out later.
Exactly, which is it's a big pet peeve of mine because it's like, what's the purpose of investing in something unless it has real business tangible outcomes?
Yeah, absolutely. We just saw that with Amazon, right? Like I think
Yes.
they had a KPI that you had to use X in AI,
Yes.
but everybody was just like using for useless things just
Exactly.
to hit the quota. So
Yeah.
you're not really getting to any outcome if
You're not. And I think it has to fit seamlessly within your culture, within your operating model, in a way that's going to enhance how you work, how you operate, how you serve customers, and ultimately how do you provide the best product, best place, best time at the right time. And that's what retail is all about in commerce.
The nice thing about having this podcast is that we keep seeing the evolution of the conversations
Yes.
of what is happening in the market, right? And also going to NRF, where we see how the conversations change and
Yes.
everything. And I saw this data that is very interesting. 45% of retailers use AI weekly, but only 11% say they are prepared to scale it across the business.
Exactly.
When does this gap's gonna close from experimenting to actually deploying something tangible?
Yeah, in my experience in the transformation space, it really requires getting into the heart of the business, including not your executive suite or SVPs in the conversation, but the directors, managers, and people actually executing the work and building a business case around how they work, how they operate, and then move quickly from piloting to the actual execution and scalability side. But you have to have an ROI model. You have to have a cost case. You have to have something that's going to build around what are we trying to achieve? Is it greater conversion rates? Is it improve your margin, improve your product quality, and so forth? Merchandising optimization, supply chain optimization, you name it. There's so many use cases, but it has to be tied to a real tangible ROI and cost savings conversation. And then how can we scale it out at an enterprise level? So I think where a lot of companies get caught up is, yes, there's an innovation imperative, but they get caught in this pilot mode and they never leaves the labs, it never leaves those 2 or 3 stores that they pilot with. And that's where I think we have a lot of friction points.
But that's I think was my question, because for a large organization, for an enterprise organization, if they decide to change something in the supply chain, for example,
Yes.
and they have to be very strategic about how long it will take, how much
Right.
they're going to invest. But the solutions that keep showing up, they're showing up different ones by the week. So I would be scared of making a long-term investment and a long-term planning if the solution that I'm trying to implement is going to be obsolete
Yes,
in 2 months.
yes.
What is this paradox that we have to leave? Like, how do we navigate that?
Well, I think the paradox is real because it's a real struggle because, as we know, the supply chain and inventory management is key to revenue growth and sustainability. Without a robust supply chain that's adaptable, flexible, you're going to fail in this current environment we're in. So, to your point, we have to find ways to be adaptable, flexible, and build an operating model that can, in the next 6 months, change again and pivot and change and experiment. So this continuous cycle of innovation can happen, but it's really a cultural and innovation mindset where companies can empower their executives and their workers to own it and adapt, and without the fear of failure, because not everything is going to be successful. You're going to learn and pivot and change along the way. So that's culture and operating model is critical.
Yeah, so your business plan for that specific solution or that specific plan can be that rigid. You have to have the flexibility to
You can't operate like before the dot-com days or in the brick and mortar rule the universe days. Now you have so many touch points and so many triggers and interactions and competitive pressures. You have to be very flexible.
Yeah, and I think like AI has been in retail for many years. It has been around for many years.
Sure.
But the way that generative AI is being working for us, that is changing at a speed that is hard to see. But like I think until a few months ago, we were really talking about the shift inside the business.
Right.
Like how to optimize operations, how to be more efficient, how to, I don't know, forecast demand, and like you name it, right?
Yes, right.
But I think now we are also reaching a point where consumers are really changing as they have access to these AI solutions.
Yes, exactly.
I have data here that says that 58% of shoppers now prefer AI tools over traditional search engines for product research, up from 25% in 2023. This is a big shift.
Major shift.
Yeah. What does it mean for retailers on how to adapt for these new consumers, at the speed of the evolution of these new consumers?
They need to match the energy of the consumer. The consumer, it seemed like during the digital evolution or revolution back in the 2010s, the retailers were way behind. And we saw the results, and those who kept up with the pace innovation with the consumers were successful. Those direct-to-consumer brands had their moment, and those more innovative brands as well. So now you need to match the same energy. You need to have the people in your organization that are understanding where the customer is heading, understanding their behaviors, how dynamic the whole commerce conversation is, because it's so many more touch points, whether it's through Agentic AI or ChatGPT or Anthropic, whatever it may be. But the start and ending point of the customer journey is so disparate and so many touch points that it requires your company to move at lightning speed and not just be reactive, but be proactive and see where the market's headed before it gets there. Especially now, as everything's changing by the week, not the month. So.
Oh my God, yeah. Tell me about it. Just personal observation.
Yes.
I think like my opinion also changes. There are a lot of times here in the podcast that I'm saying, I don't think it's going to change that much. I don't think I wanted to shop with my agent and whatever.
Right.
That changed.
You have your own agent now, right?
I have a few agents now that know me more than any brand.
Right.
That maybe know me more than myself at this point.
Yeah.
You know? And I think my whole funnel of discovery to the point of purchase is going to happen with my agent.
Yes.
When I'm shopping online. So
Exactly.
I see a future where I won't be with a customer interface looking at a brand anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely a different experience for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but like what I think like it's gonna be a big challenge for retailers moving forward is like, because I think like with digital,
Yes.
we got a gift of seeing the behavior of the customer.
Right.
We've just lose the visibility of
Correct.
how customers find you. How can we figure it out a model where this works?
Yeah, that's definitely a major paradigm shift. Before you had the search engine optimization, you had personalization engines, you can see you had the cookie trails, you can see where discovery started, how it led to conversion. Now there are other triggers you have to look for. Is if it's through an agent, what were the algorithmic elements that worked that really attracted the agent? It's not the emotional connection, it's the algorithmic connection that's now there, which is a significant shift. And it's going to change the commerce world in a way that we haven't seen before. I still believe not everything will be through agents. You still want to go to a product store or Adidas for sneakers, whatever it may be, to discover and experience the product and speak to a store associate, etc. But for those more repeatable purchases, things can be optimized and make your life easier. If you have the right trust, the right boundaries, the right ways of setting up guardrails, I think the agent can help make your life a lot more seamless. Yeah.
It just adds a lot of more complexity. But like to your point, I think stores will never die.
No.
Stores and the analog and the physical and touching and people and connection,
Right.
they'll remain the same.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Like the same way that digital didn't kill stores. I don't think AI is going to kill digital or stores.
No.
But we're just going through a different way that we're going to shop. Maybe another channel. I don't know if I can talk about agentic commerce as a channel, but
I think ultimately it could be, yeah, for sure. We're at such early stages of the evolutionary period, so we'll see where it goes. But it's very intriguing.
yeah. Do you know any success cases for agentic commerce already?
I think we've seen it in the luxury space. I think Louis Vuitton's always investing in innovation, and their maisons, and certainly Amazon with their agents as well has been there. It's so early in the process, or isn't as apparent or visible to the customers in the front end. I think a lot of things are happening in the back end, but I think you're one of the early adopters, and you certainly have a couple of agents, and now that we're just seeing these startup brands that have ways of accepting payments and being your agent, and so it's literally happening in the last 2 weeks. So it's so new, so fresh. But I do expect the luxury space, especially retail space, and those are always investing in innovation and adapting the way they operate, but keeping their brand promise. We'll continue to do so in this new era.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I think, at the lead that we were last week.
It was last week, right?
Last week we were here in New York at the lead.
Yeah.
There was one case study that I saw that was Steve Madden.
Yes.
And they were one of the earlier adopters of allowing you to check out with agents, or they have been found. Like, I have to understand exactly. But she was saying that they realized, because like when you enter the website to get the hit, the most sold items, and from 100 orders, 90 were different shoes. So like it's not that they're always like buying the best sellers. So I guess the level of discovery might also change the discoverability of all your SKUs.
Exactly. I think what also changes the personalization elements too, because I think we as consumers want to be known and heard and understood. Now it's our agents are now acting as our advocates, who knows what Paula McCallie wants to buy, her preferences and her lifestyle, and what running shoes you might need, based on your next marathon coming up. So it's going to be so much more predictive, and it's going to offer new things to you. But you ultimately, as a consumer, have a choice to set those guardrails and set those expectations to your agent. It's really going to change things, but I'm sure you still want to go to the store and try the new running shoes out, everything else, because that's that physical and that engagement in the store you don't want to go away, because as humans, we love the engagement, we love to experience things.
Yeah. But like also what I think it's, I got a lot of data here for us to talk about.
So much data,
Yeah, well, because we need data to understand, right?
Yes.
Because sometimes I feel like it's super overwhelming, but like we're talking about 2% of the shoppers.
Right. It's the hype cycle we've seen with Gen AI, Agentic AI, and now Agentic Commerce. I think you need to have fact-based stats behind everything.
Right?
Real.
Yeah. Otherwise, I was just talking about ghosts.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there's here like AI referred traffic converts 31% better and spends 45% more on site. So if I ask for a recommendation and I go to a website, I'll probably spend 45% more.
Yeah. I mean, it's brilliant. I mean, your goal as a retailer or a brand is to sell and drive your conversion rates up. That's the holy grail, especially higher margin items, full price items. So why not make your consumers' lives easier? And then why do I address these new ways of shopping and engaging with customers?
Yeah, I think there are a few complexities from the retailer side that I'd love to ask you. I think that there might be, I don't know, the trust component. Do I trust these technologies that just show up to sell my product? Who owns the data? Am I going to have the relationship with my customer before or after?
Yes.
And I also think, I don't know, like, who are these consumers? Like, I have no idea about that.
Yeah, the first point element is critical, because the trust and security and confidence in the brand is so important. For us to shop with and give our information willingly, we need to have a comfort knowing our information is safe, and then they have our needs prioritized as consumers, because we've seen all too often there's been security hacks or information's been stolen from companies, and now it's like we don't want the Wild West when everything opens up, and now Agentic Commerce is taking off. But you need to build those guardrails and resiliency and security to ensure that exchange of information happens in a way that's secure and safe. And then we'll feel comfortable shopping. That's always been that way. Your second question is, it's certainly it's changing the dynamic of who your customers are and how they ultimately shop with you. And I think there is also, you may not know who the end consumer is because it's going through an agent, but you also need to understand what that journey, how it started. and actually adapt your KPIs around that, because the customer journey is significantly different now than it used to be. So I think it requires companies to adapt their operating model, address all these new attributes and KPIs that didn't exist before, and it might require new roles. Being an agentic commerce team to actually be part of the merchandising team or supply chain team or product development team to understand the stopping and the start and the conversion of these new journeys that didn't exist before. So it's fascinating, and it's also, I would say, a little terrifying for companies, because they have to move at the speed of light now because things are changing so fast.
It seems like I was reading some data today, more data to talk about, but we're going to reach the massification of agents and shopping agents by 2030.
Yes.
Do you think these next 4 years is enough for the legacy retailers that sit on legacy technologies to adapt?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been one of my challenges in my career as a retailer, as a transformation and a specialist and advisor, and now in agentic space, is if you haven't adapted your operating models, if you haven't modernized your application suite and your infrastructure, you're already behind. But it's not too late, like you mentioned. I would start immediately. You haven't already. It's my recommendation to all brands and retailers. But I believe many are on that journey already, because the scene has shifted significantly over the last 3 or 4 years since that.
I mean, you had 3 years already to do some work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we've seen brands like a Macy's that have really recovered. And it was like the legacy department store that experienced so many challenges, and now they're adapting the operating model to address the digital consumer and the different touch points and making the physical store more intelligent and more frictionless, and et cetera. So it is possible, but don't delay, because you don't assume you have the gift of time, because everyone's balancing their operations on a day-to-day basis, the challenges of today, disruptions to come. That is another element you can't ignore, because the whole commerce universe is going to change. In my 2030s, next 6 months, it'll be dramatically different. So.
Yeah. And something I'm very curious.
Yes.
Should these retailers, and I really need your expertise here.
Sure.
Would they adapt their technologies so their legacy systems adapt to these new technologies, or they should reset their legacy to something newer so they can grow at the speed of the technology?
Well, the beautiful thing is we don't have to do the big bang transformations anymore. You can keep your legacy systems, your OMS systems, your ERP systems running. They're stable, they're consistent, but they should not be the ones that are involved in agentic elements, or those. There should be a new tech stack that's flexible, adaptable. It's above that with APIs, the modern APIs that can be extremely flexible and adaptable and scalable to move the speed of light. So you can ingest data from all these legacy sources, keep everything consistent without introducing operational risk to the companies, but move the speed of light, the new infrastructure in the cloud that's scalable and flexible, can move and adapt very quickly.
Yeah.
So you don't have to actually rip your whole software stack out and start over again, but you can build a whole middleware layer, and above that, in the cloud, all those new innovative capabilities.
And what do we do with data? Because I think, AI only works as long as you have the data to support it,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And these legacy systems, they hold a lot of data.
Right.
It's just, as I understand, it's very different to combine the languages of different data from different systems
Correct.
to work together. But do you do this simultaneously as you... what is the process? Do you clean your data and then you invest in technologies, or you start investing in technologies to see how that, what is the...
Yeah, that's a great question, Paul. I think data is a product. Data is the most essential element to any agentic AI conversation or personalization optimization. Without the right data that's flexible, adaptable, and scalable, that's consistent and accurate, you're doomed to fail. So it's a simultaneous exercise, and you almost need to have a separate data as a product organization that pulls different advocates from different elements in the company, like supply chain, merchandising, store operations, e-commerce, to be part of that conversation to ensure you have the right data sources, the data accurate, is in a data lake, and it's in the cloud, that's governed, and there's architecture to make sure it's secure, resilient. So it's a big investment and a big initiative that has to happen. That is almost either the precursor to the agentic AI commerce conversation, or simultaneously, if you don't have that luxury of doing so, but you haven't done so already. Another critical imperative is to make sure your data is accurate, is scalable, flexible, and the modern architecture you need to be. So.
Sounds like a lot of work.
Oh, it's a lot of work, but critical, because you want to set the stage for the next 5, 10, 15 years, because it's going to be fascinating to see the innovations to come in the next 5 years for
Yeah. If innovation is coming every week now, it's going to come at every second in 30 years.
Yeah, it used to be a year conversation. Now it's become 6 months. Now it's almost daily. So it's hard to keep up with it. But again, these retailers have to really pick their investments wisely and the capabilities they need to make it happen without introducing operational risk and exposure. So it's a big balancing act. So luckily, there's folks like me who can help partner with them and feel that trust and confidence to build that future together. So.
That's why I brought you to ask these questions, because I couldn't think about anybody better.
Thank you.
Do you think that smaller brands, though, recent brands that don't have this legacy technology, this legacy architecture behind them, are they going to have, I don't know, they're just going to be able to innovate better and faster and go through the trend of the technologies coming? Like they're going to have a big advantage, right?
Major advantage. And they also have the advantage they don't have to invest in all the capital expenditures and all the architecture and the large mainframe systems that big retailers have. So they can leverage the Shopify platform. They can leverage the commerce engines out there that are modern and adaptable with modern APIs. So that's a major advantage, not having that legacy architecture, not having that old ways of working, and having an operating model that's already built to be innovative, already built to be adaptive. It reminds me of 10 years ago, the DTC brands I brought, again, like the Caspers of the world, the Ways of the world, the Warby Parkers of the world.
That we thought, like, this is the future.
This is the future.
No stores.
Right.
We just sell it direct to consumer, and that's it.
But what they did do right was they kept their laser focus on the customer experience and having all the strategies built around the customer, which I think that's where the legacy retailers almost lost touch, because they were focused on the operational sides, not realizing the customer is changing very rapidly back when the digital age picked up and mobile commerce became a phenomenon.
Well, but that didn't work very well to the D2C company.
No, because they invested too much in overexpansion and hundreds of stores, and they had experienced the same challenges that a physical retailer has experienced. So once they overexpanded, that's sort of the end was near for some of those brands.
They got too much capital and not so much of a plan.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But
I was watching this video yesterday, and I think that's completely fair for us to rethink how, like, all these tricks that brands do for you to buy. Right? Like, it's $9.99, not $10 anymore. You know, like, now with our agents, like, we don't fall into these emotional tricks anymore.
No.
I think, like, this would be a value for me as a consumer. I'll be like, you know what? Better if my agent shops, otherwise I'm going to shop 3 times more.
Yes.
I will spend 3 times more because I'm too emotional.
Yes, exactly.
How can brands, and that's all of us guessing, right? Like, there's no rule at the moment. We're all learning. How do you think brands can adapt to the non-emotional consumer that is just an algorithm?
Yeah, I think that, but that same consumer is still going to physical stores. So you still have the emotional pull, but also the one that's more pragmatic and leveraging an agent to keep everything in check and stay within the budget. So you're serving the algorithmic side and making sure you have what they need in terms of product details and specs, reviews. That can be easily scanned and read by an Agentic AI element, and that can be really consumed quickly because you need that lightning speed. So have that element as well, but don't discount the fact that still 80-85% of the business still happens in the stores, and then with that emotional connection. So you still need to have your brand purpose, your brand, your goals, your aspirations, the quality, the right pricing. Everything has, all those elements still needs to exist. But now you have almost a whole new organizational element that has to address the algorithmic side, which existed, but not to the level it is now, because now you're doing just the pure science side of it. But the arts is still there, because now it's almost like a seesaw, depending on where you are in your life and where you want to prioritize.
You know, a use case that I think my agent would be great. Like,
sure.
I buy a lot from Lululemon. I am a Lululemon big customer. Okay. I can buy it every week. I find a new top or something. Like, I really shop there. I would ask my agent, find me black leggings that are as good as Lululemon and like same materials, same whatever, for half the price.
Right.
And like, now my agents work 24/7, so they can find a provider in India that can send me 30 days. I don't know. Like, I think this dynamic,
very dynamic,
of how I'm going to find products can be as valuable as, like, I don't know, because we search like Reddit comments and reviews.
Right.
Like, everybody says this is, you know, like, I think it's going to open a whole world of discovery for me. That's why I don't think it's not going to be on ads anymore.
No,
you know?
no. I mean, you have your brand affinity, your core customer of Lululemon for sure, but I think also the value proposition, if it's a better brand or as good a brand with a more affordable price, you'll go for it. But these agents are working 24/7. They're exposing brands even though it existed. And we have to spend hours, if not days, researching ourselves, like Reddit or Google or whatever it took to find an alternative to Lululemon. So it definitely introduced a lot of new complexities or opportunities for brands that didn't have that exposure or scale before.
Yeah, that's also the buy one, get one free, like
Of
something
course.
like this. That always tricks me. Like, I'll
Yes.
tell my agent, look, see if it's actually,
Right.
because you never know if last week was the same price, but just because you have
Exactly.
the buy one, get one,
Yes.
you're actually failing the trick. I think that would be my agent's job, like,
Yes.
don't let me fall into any trick.
I almost think having this conversation today is what else could be used for? I'm thinking airlines and actually monitoring different airlines. You want to plan a trip to Europe or wherever it may be in a certain month, and they can do all the back end investigations and provide different options and have that engaging conversation.
Yeah,
in the
given
back
the
end.
miles I have, which tickets can I get most discount?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's going to help. It's going to change the travel, transportation, hospitality industries too. So it's a bigger impact than just commerce.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point. I think when we are talking about how AI is going to transform retail,
Right.
we actually have to look at different industries because it's changing everything simultaneously. Just right now, before we got into this episode, I saw that Robinhood, it's allowing AI agents to trade in the platform, which is completely new. And I don't know, I think my mind has so many safety issues, right? Like, so
Especially
many
your
things
money's
can go
involved.
wrong.
Yes. Yes.
But fine, let's say that it works and it's all fine. If I am a consumer and I let my agent do this type of level, like with my retirement, these investments with my retirement, am I expecting that my agents are going to be able to do everything else? So, like, if healthcare offers you an experience that your bank doesn't, like, it feels off. So I guess we have to see how everything's working, right?
I think commerce extends through every aspect of our lives. Anywhere there's exchange of goods and services, it's not just retail. So I think, like you mentioned, Robinhood, but there's so many other use cases out there, and we should expect financial institutions to step up. And travel, hospitality, and airlines. There's so many opportunities out there for these capabilities that it's going to revolutionize how we shop and how we engage. So.
Yeah, I saw another data that only 14% of US consumers currently trust AI to place orders.
Yeah.
And yesterday I found a solution called Allowance.
I saw that one, yeah.
I shared with
In the
you,
chat
right?
group, yes.
Yeah, I shared in the chat group.
Yes.
But it basically supports my agent. I can just easily install in my agents, and now they can safely make purchases for me. So I think, like, this is what I was waiting for, is
Safety and
to let
security.
my agents shop.
Exactly.
What other technologies are you looking at that could transform, like, emerging technologies? There are so many
There's so
popping
many,
up
yeah.
that can transform commerce.
I was thinking about this last night on my trip to New York City today, but there are a couple. I think we're going to go back to the foundations again.
Let's do something. You say one, I say another one.
Okay, fair enough.
Like,
So I think data attribution and shifting your whole entire data strategy operating model around the algorithmic needs of an agentic AI is going to require technology and solution providers, consultants, whatever it may be, to help these companies adapt to the change. I think that's the first critical one, is get that foundation right before you even think about anything else. So that's my first one.
yeah, but as I'm not thinking about the foundation,
You go right to
as I'm thinking
innovation.
straight to
Yes.
I saw this technology called Umbora. It's basically challenging Shopify.
Good.
You can run your whole shop and you have, like, it's all run by AI. It's basically
Right.
you having your autonomous shop running for you. I think that's an exciting thing for us to keep an eye on, because that can also transform many things on how
Exactly.
we're going to operate. Yeah. Next.
Conversational commerce is going to become real, whether it's if you have your agents in the background 24/7, but now you also have a conversation because you want to be involved in the discovery, the choices, and we're going to see Anthropic and OpenAI and every other provider step up here. This is going to be a big element. I know there's been some stops and starts with OpenAI pulling back from the commerce world, but I think there's so much potential and so much revenue to be made. That's going to be a big element here once you get the foundations right. And,
I don't see much of that in the US, but I think in Brazil it has been a big one.
Yes.
We are heavy WhatsApp users.
Yes.
and we have brand agents talking to us on WhatsApp, and they send a link for you to pay and etc. And I think, I think that's a great case. Yeah.
I think, in Europe especially, I think even in the Asia markets, has always been about having that video content and buying from TikTok and other brands as well. So the streaming services is a channel for sure. But I think I see Gen Z and Gen Alpha emerging in that conversational space as they're perpetually in these apps and use them every day. So.
Do you see that with your kids?
Yes and no. There are days where they love to go to the mall and actually spend hours there with their friends and check out their favorite stores like Anthropologie and Aerie and Apple, whoever, and Sephora. So, and there are days where they want to be on their phones, but I think there's an element of AI fatigue in the next generation. They've been so exposed to it. So we shouldn't assume that everything's going all agentic with this generation. The level of shopping in the store level has gone up, and more is experiencing a renaissance. That's a whole other episode, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's not like the fact that we are going agentic doesn't mean that we're going only agentic.
Exactly.
There is a whole
channel.
offline road that is super successful and it keeps blowing.
One block away is Fifth Avenue, and you hear the noise out there. So it's
absolutely. We're going to an NBA store after. So.
That's right.
Yeah. I found this other solution called Enso, I think. Mm-hmm. But they do it's a emerging technology, and they do personalized home pages for your consumers.
Right.
So the homepage of a brand will never look the same as it looks for you. And that's not the Amazon way. It's not like the way this displays products, but the way I like my homepage. According to me, how this homepage is going to look. I think that's something that we should also be looking at. If we ever shop with homepages again, but I think we will.
Exactly. And my third and final one, I'm not sure it's more, but
we can spend
modernization and bringing intelligence to the store. And companies like Fusion and others who are bringing digital shelf labels and on the edge that can track, that can provide information to retailers they wouldn't have before, and they can fulfill products at a record rate. They can track heat maps. They could leverage digital twins, and also not have to invest in capital elements to actually reproduce stores and do all kinds of experimentation. By having that ability to do dynamic pricing, promotional pricing, fulfillment on the edge, and scanning and seeing where store traffic is going to help change the game. But not make the store like a science project, but kind of the behind the scenes or seamlessly. That has the branding, has the elements, but we should always look to modernize the store experience to enable that customer to come in who wants to discover and engage with new products.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like when it comes to grocery, every waste that you solve, every piece of efficiency that you solve is better for all of us.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
And my last one, and that's a fun one because I saw it on the subway on my way home yesterday. That's, by the way, another thing in New York. Every time that you commute, you see an AI platform. AI that does something.
Love it.
Yeah, but it's this long chain. So it's basically, so when you run an agent, as the smarter my agent gets, the more expensive it is because he has to read through the context of our conversations all the time before replying to me.
Yes.
Apparently, this solution makes this context, it basically saves the memory of this agent so he doesn't have to go through all of that. And I think as we are in a economy that we are burning tokens like crazy, I think solutions like this is going to be very helpful to keep costs down.
Yes, you have to justify the investments these retailers and brands are making, and you need the ROI tied to it, any new innovation. So any way you can streamline it and leverage the existing context, like you mentioned, it's going to be extremely helpful because anything I tie to a revenue or profitability growth strategy is not going to resonate. But of course, keep that focus on the customer experience too.
Amazing. Yeah. Brandon, thank you so much for enlightening us with your experience. I'm sure in 6 months from now, we're going to rewatch this episode and be like, oh my God, we were so wrong about that. Or we were so right about that.
Exactly. All the forecasts are usually wrong, but we'll see.
Well, but we're here to explore the possibilities. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And go Knicks.
Go Knicks.